He told me to maybe can do a testimony of what we're doing down there about violence against women and equity gender. And the other thing I want is to tell you our story. It's a simple story. My boss, who is the president of a regional pharmaceutical company in Chile, phoned me last August and told me that something bad had happened. A sales representative that had been working for us for 6 years never showed up to work, and we didn't know why. It was a long weekend, so we thought that maybe she skipped a day. But after 2 days, we found out that she has been assassinated by her husband, and he has killed himself. And this was a shock to the company because she was a good employee with a good profile, and we never thought that she had been suffering violence in all those years. So he told me that we must do something about it, not only within the company and all the subsidiaries that we work with, but also in our community. And that's how we got involved. It's going to be a year, and we contacted the only institution that we had available with these matters, which was the German Economic Agency for Health that was working in Peru with the Ministry of Women. And right away, they came to the company and showed us how to deal with this, and we were shocked about the figures. 6 out of 10 women in Peru suffer from violence, 4 of them physically. This means that 1 million women do suffer, 85,000 a month, 120 per hour, and it takes 2 every minute. Also, 12 are murdered, we call it feminicides, by mostly jealous partners or ex-partners. And the third criminal event in the statistics is raping or any violence, sexual violence. So we said what we can do, and they have been working with the post events. What I mean by that is that we had 1-800 numbers, 68 refugee houses, but that is not enough. We wish to work to prevent violence. So at that time, we had a brand for menstrual problem for women, and we were targeted to early adulthood or teenagers from 16 to 28 years. So we rapidly had the channels, we had a Facebook, we had a web page. So at that time, our TV commercial was done with a famous soap opera actress that had a high rating. So we called her and we said, do you wish to do 14 micro programs of 5 minutes each with scenes that prevent violence, or to acknowledge or sensitize the audience that this could be according to them? And she said yes. So we rapidly did these micro programs that they hung out in our Facebook, and they are just day-to-day scenes to identify possible violence occurrence. For example, if your boyfriend tells you, give me your password of your Facebook, or I don't like you how you dress, or I love you too much and I will kill myself if you're not with me, or the boyfriend gave me a little push, but I forgive him because he was drunk. So this daily-to-daily basis means that there's a possibility in this relationship to be violent, because violence is possessiveness. The partner tries to have control over you, not to let you be independent. And these scenes, daily scenes, tend to be acknowledged as normal, as regular, and they are not. So by that means, we try to reach the audience. We started with 6,000 fans. Now we have more than 80,000. They have all seen more than 100,000. They have seen these micro programs. And we're in the wagon. We were called to many TV programs that they give us time to explain this program, to explain to people, because in Peru, as most of American countries, the culture, the male culture is very strong. Machismo, we call it machismo, is very strong. And it comes from a family. More of the questions that we had is, what happens if within the family, the father is controlling, and they have this pattern? It's very difficult, we know. But with awareness and making the people aware of these controlling problems, maybe things will go better. Also, within the company, there was no program available. We started with the help of the agencies and did formats and did workshops with personnel, and all have been trained. We are 350 people, and it's not that we are going to take care of these problems. We are not capable of doing so. So we guide them to the Human Resources Department, and they take care with the agency, psychological, legal help to do so. And now the Ministry of Women have established a seal. That means that if you comply with several issues, which they are not that difficult or costly, you can have a seal that says you're a safe company. And we are pioneers in this. And through all these stages, what I personally found out is that we were also invited to international forums, Ibero-American forums of, with Spain and all Latin America. And what I found out as an observer, because we were there for the first time, is that public institutions, at least in our countries, they are very slow. They like studies. They argue, but they don't implement nothing. So it was very sad to see all this. They will get to the stage that they will studies and studies, and they will, you need a campaign. They don't know how to do a campaign. They don't have the funds to do a campaign. But it's very easy for private companies to do so with good relationship with media that we have. For example, for the Nonviolence Day, it's in November, and I think we have it in December, where TV channels gave us free time, and we'll do a commercial with this actress stating against violence, and all public and also popular TV personalities gave us their time, and we'll interview them and have them in the internet. So if you one day get to work in any kind of company, in public or private, we believe that we have a mission, not only to give revenues to a company, but also in the place that we work with and in the community we work with, we can do a change. And that's what we saw, that there was a weakness in the government of doing so. So we approached one institution, it's called Peru 2021, and it says companies socially responsible. Most of them are mining companies, are consumer multinational companies, fishery, forestry. And we approach them and invite them to a luncheon, and we say, hey, these are the facts, and what happens in your companies, and they did a small survey before they entered the room. And the statistics were the same as nationwide. So, have you encountered violence problems within your company? And 50% said yes. And do you have any program to deal with this? And 97% said no. And they were the top 25 companies. So they were shocked about all these figures. And we supported our objective, not only because the company has values, not only because it gives you a better image, not only because your working climate is better, but also it will save you money. That's the only way to get to the stockholder companies, right? I couldn't believe it at first. They said, no, you have to do it for humanity. No, you have to do it because it saves you money. And how does it save you money? Well, for the first time ever, last year it was released a study from a private university in Peru called Universidad San Martín. It was a very good study, and the professor joined us in this lunch and is working side by side with us. And he did a survey to the top 200 companies, also from 100 employees further, and medium and small size companies. To tell you an example, on a company of 20 employees, only 20, you miss 275 days of work. Why? Because you have 50% of the women that work there that are being violent. And women that are being abused, psychological or physically, they don't work as much. It's not only the absenteeism, it's the absenteeism, and also we call it, I don't know if it's okay in English, presenteeism. This means that you're present in work, but you're not working hard. You are not productive. And also, it's an effect on the witnesses around you that are involved in your case or are not working that well because you have this problem. And it's not only because of the victim, but also because of the aggressor. The numbers go with the aggressor too. So this means that you miss in a 20 people company, you miss 1 employee per year. And in our figures, this means around $28,000 a year. So if you have a company of 100 people or 200 people, you just make your figures. And the lunch was attended by all the general managers, the human resource people, and social responsible project managers, and they were shocked. Even the general manager told me, I can't believe that. I work with 70% women. I can never believe that most half of them suffer from this, and I'm losing this amount of money. So rapidly, we, in the webpage, it was a hands-on workshop with the formats. We put all the workshops they have to do, that they are free because the German cooperation agents give them for free. They hire the professionals, and they are for free, and it's very easy to do something. So now, from the 30 that attended, I know yesterday that 20 have accepted the program and they're initiating the process. And this just started in August. So we are very compromised with this objective, and I just wanted to share with you. And when you are great directors in companies, you know that you can make a difference. Okay.
Can you take some questions?
Yeah, of course.
When you say that you give them like a seal for being like safe companies,
Yeah.
What does this mean? Like, what are the company's obligations?
Okay. They come from, like the checklist. The checklist, how many activities have you done within your company, how many hours of training. All your formats have to be changed. For example, in Spanish, when I talk about my employees, I don't call them employees, we should call them colaboradores, right? But colaboradores is a male gender word, right? In plural in Spanish, every plural name is in male gender. So we have to, all the formats, all the communication has to say colaboradores and colaboradoras. Okay? Also, all the activities that you have done in the community. For example, in this checklist, we couldn't, all the activities that we did in Facebook and the micro programs and so forth, they didn't add us points. Why? Because we had a brand involved. But we, at that time, only used the brand because we have all the setup of the digital media channels and all the media that we could reach more people. But for that checklist, you are not in, you don't give points because you have a brand and it's like a marketing thing, so they don't want it. And also, there's a lot of minor things, your induction, employee, or colaborador, or colaboradora. In their induction program, you have to stay to them to see the programs, and also in your, you call it function detail of your position, the position details, you have to...
Job description.
Your job description, they have to sign an agreement that this company doesn't not believe, doesn't, we are against violence, any type of violence, psychologically, physically, and it will be a major fault when you get involved with this, and so forth. So there are various, this is not that difficult, as I told you, but it's to get your inner community and your outer community aware and sensitive to the problem. But this in the workshops, it's been, you think it's easy, but really it's not, because in the workshop we will start, what's the difference between a man and a woman? Even in the physical part, in the psychological part. And you will find out, you will laugh at all the perceptions that male has. And at the end of the workshop, the male will say, well, we don't know how to do this. And it starts there, in gender equity. And during these forums, which I which I participated, it was shocking to see that there are other various problems involved. We're here just talking about the 20% of the economic population active in formal work, 20%. There's 80% of women that are in the formal business that we don't count. This million is just 20%. And this informal or rural activities where the women have their lives, we have seen in forums, for example, in these environmental forums, that an Andean woman came and was a speaker. And she was dressed like with the nice skirts and the braids and the hats. And I was shocked. And there was one who knew how to talk Spanish, and there was another one who spoke Quechua, the native language. And of course, the one that knew how to know Spanish was guided by a non-profit organization. And she spoke that we have political and economic problems with our government. In her town, in the Andes, there was 4 programs that care about the violence against women. And she had 200 women to take care of. But the rules changed, and now in Peru, we don't have these institutions because all the money and the power has been given to president, we call it regional presidents, like governors. We didn't used to have, everything was centralized before in the national government. And this guy hasn't done anything. So for the 4 support programs that they had, now they have none. And she has 200 women to take care of. The other scene was another Andean woman that was not so well dressed as the one supported by a non-profit organization. Because this other woman had a PowerPoint, said, I want to show my PowerPoint and everything. But this other woman came with an older woman, and they were whispering. And in her speech, she spoke in Quechua. And I noticed that she didn't have any paper. And every now and then, the older woman will whisper to her. And it's because she didn't know how to read or read. And to remember the things she had to speak, the older woman of the village had to tell her about. And she said, the only thing I need, please, she was from a very poor corridor, we called it in the Andes. We need work. We need your private companies to come and give us work. We can work in anything. Because with our economic independence is the only way we can get rid of violence, the way we can maintain our kids. Because men won't let us leave, not even to go to school. And this was shocking because it was supposed to be a forum. I was saying, where's the Ministry of Work? Where's the Ministry of Women? Where are the main principal companies or the regional companies as mining or forestry companies? They should be here and install centers of development for these women. There were none. There were none. So you encounter in our type of countries several barriers, political or economical barriers or cultural barriers. But we have to work on them.
Any questions? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
filling us in.